Hello and welcome back to Ponytales, the YouTube show in which I read My Little Pony Friendship is Magic fanfictions. My name is Scribbler, and today we have Chapter 4 again of Background Pony. This time it's Part 2 of Symphony of Solitude.
Lyra?
The gazelle of the northern zebra hara have long employed the hollows of milkwood reeds to craft the flutes traditionally utilized in their wedding ceremonies. However, upon the introduction of polygamist rituals brought in by the migratory wildebeests, they've replaced the flutes for ocarinas crafted out of dried river mud. And this has been the standard form of social instrumentation for the last 5 decades.
Lyra!
Ever since contact has been made with the zebra tribes of the southern plains, the gazelle have learned to incorporate percussion instruments into their native songs. This has led to the first known case of zebra Haran songwriting since the rams performed their exodus to the northern mountains following the Age of Discord.
Lyra Heartstrings!
Mom's voice. I look up from the sprawling assortment of textbooks and notes across my bed covers. The rooftops of Canterlot outside my windows are every color of the rainbow. Mom's mane is somehow brighter than everything else. I wish I could say the same for her frown. I sit up straight, blinking. The air is cool, but that's not why I'm suddenly shivering. Am I forgetting something?
Your train leaves in less than 2 hours.
Oh, shoot! I scramble to scoop up all of my study materials and shove them into a turquoise saddlebag. The summer sun celebration! Twilight is going to kill me!
Kill you? She hasn't seen you in months.
Mom chuckles. I can never recreate the tonality in her voice. I wouldn't want to.
But seriously, Lyra, must you take all those things? You're going to meet with Twilight to celebrate. You'll have plenty of time to study when you get back.
I'm just 0.2 grade points away from being top in class, I exclaim as I gather the last of my things and tie my saddlebag shut. I can't let myself slack off for even a second.
Well, at least try not to be rude when you're around Twilight by studying instead of catching up with her.
I think I know better than that, Mom. I wink at her. I gallop to her side for a quick nuzzle before scampering down the stairs. I'll send a postcard once I'm in Ponyville.
Ponyville! She calls after me. And Lyra!
Her tone stops me dead in my tracks. I linger in the middle of the stairs, groaning. Don't tell me. What have I forgotten now?
What else?
Her horn glows with aged grace as she floats an embarrassingly familiar instrument into my peripheral vision.
Even if you don't use it for your studies, perhaps you can play a song or two at the celebration.
I smile. I feel my cheeks flush. Thanks, Mom. I grab the lyre with my magic and stuff it down my saddlebag. I swear I'd lose my horn if it wasn't attached to my head.
So long as you look after your horn, then our baby genius has her future set out for her, she says.
The last I see of her is a wink. I descend the stairs. The windows are wide open. The air of Canterlot is crisp, rich, full of delicious sounds. Dad stands in the middle of it, fiddling with his latest painting. Darn it, he mutters. I can never get the colors to blend just right. It looks fine, Dad, I say in a sing-song fashion. I dash over to give him a swift peck on the cheek. Photo finish, he's gonna love the portrait you're making of her. Actually, it's still life of a bowl of cantaloupes. Well, yeah. She seems to be into fruity things. I giggle nervously and bolt towards the door. Bright sunlight engulfs me. Gotta go! See you soon!
Don't grow too attached to Ponyville, Lyra, Dad mutters. It's farm country. I've been told the smell takes forever to get out.
Dad! I'll only be there for a few days. You won't even know I've left. He disappears along with the painting. Everything's a blur. The train car keeps jostling. It's hard to concentrate. There's a foal crying 2 seats ahead of me. I am reminded of a pony recce competition. I scribble a few things in my notepad. There are 35 lines left on the sheet, and I wonder if I could fit Octavia's latest Adagio for a Bearded Sorcerer on it by memory.
Ponyville! Next stop! Next stop, Ponyville!
Dear Celestia, there's so much noise. The train's making a massive turn around the bend. I feel myself tilting toward the window. In my annoyance, I flash a glance outside. I see apple trees, a windmill, thatched roofs, a bell tower, and more apple trees. Yeesh! I chuckled to myself. What a flippin' hole in the ground. I look at the blank sheet again. It's a lot more interesting. I hum to myself. Goddess, I'm so jealous of Octavia. Twilight! Yoo-hoo! I jump, grinning like mad, my muzzle bouncing over the heads of several ponies. Hey, Twilight! Over here! She's sitting at a picnic table, surrounded by farm ponies. A half-devoured pie rests on a plate before her. It glistens like all the apples surrounding us, like her violet eyes briefly do when they look up to see me. Oh, Lyra, hey! She struggles to smile. There's something weighing on her, and I think it's more than just the farm family sweets forming a bulge in her belly. Moondancer told me in her letter that you'd be coming. I'm really glad you did. Well, at least one of us is. I wince at the back sweat wafting off the multiple work hooves prancing through the apple orchards around us. Phew, you smell that? Why is Princess Celestia choosing the boondocks of Equestria to raise the sun at this year? It's not so bad a town, really. The ponies here are insanely friendly, though. But I guess it can't be helped. You look like you could use a long night's sleep. I wink and point at her belly. Or a stomach pump. I can't, Lyra, Twilight groans. As Celestia's personal protege, I've been charged with overseeing the ceremony. This was to be my first stop. But at this rate, I don't know if I can so much as stand up, much less interview the rest of the ponies running the show. I glance all around us. Every pony is looking the other way. I've never once let a magical opportunity go astray. Psst! I lean toward Twilight. Perhaps simple ponies could do with a simple distraction. Oh, please. Twilight's lavender hooves are held together across the table from me. Anything, Lyra, she pleads. You've got to help me out. Don't worry. I pull my lyre out. I've got this. I strum every string in succession, then shout before the air. Oh, my stars and garters! Is that Winnie Nelson over there? To my dismay, the huge family of farmers merely blinks in confusion. After a beat, I clear my throat and utter, Oh, also, the apples are on fire! Every pony is immediately shrieking and running straight toward the fields. Soon, Twilight and I are alone with our gasping breaths. Now's our chance, Twilight shrieks and leads the charge. I gallop after her, giggling. Twilight, There you are. Spike gasps from where he waits in the middle of the road. He gives his mentor a strange look. Holy guacamole! Did you have enough of their apple treats? Twilight gulps something down before it has the chance to rise out of her throat. She smiles sickly my way as we trot toward her assistant. Thankfully, Lyra arrived just in time to save my tail. You should thank Spike, too, I say with a smile. He told me I might find you here. I had no idea you'd be forced down a gauntlet of pies. Please, Twilight sighed, her face long. Don't say the word. It's not like I don't have enough on my plate. I trot around to get a better look at my full-hood friend's expression. Something eating at you, Twilight? Last time we hung out, you couldn't stop rambling excitedly about the latest spell Celestia was teaching you. She's going to be showing up here tomorrow to race the sun, right? Why aren't you chomping at the bit to see her? If you pardon the old mare's expression. Lyra, you're always studying about the history of music, right? There'd be something terribly wrong with me if I wasn't. Have you, in your studies, ever chanced upon song relating to the elements of harmony? She clears her throat and further utters, specifically dating back to more than 1,000 years ago? Oh, not this again. Spike rolls his eyes and trots off toward the center of town beyond the bend in the road. I'll go scout ahead for this dashing rainbow Pegasus or whoever we're supposed to meet next. I scratch my mane and squint curiously after him. Just what's gotten his spikes in a bunch? He thinks I'm overreacting. Overreacting? About what? Twilight sighs. She's a wealth of knowledge, and yet so much of that is forever a mystery to me. I can never understand her, only admire her. If only Moondancer were here. Together we might make her giggle. Her smile is half-hearted as she trots toward me. Never mind, Lyra. This is a year just like any other. We should be happy and celebrate the warmth that's given to us on a daily basis. Hey, works for me, I say with a smile. I heard you're going to be at the library in the center of town tonight. Yes, it's where I'm staying during the celebration. Think you'd mind an annoying mint green unicorn knocking on the door and chatting it up about music? I'd love to sit and talk with you again, Lyra, but I've got a lot of work to do. There is something distant in her face. It draws the smile away just as it draws her near to me for a friendly nuzzle. Still, it's nice to hear your voice. It's like a song that I'm happy to remember every time you stop by. Things have been so strange lately. Princess Celestia has been really distant, and I can't get her to give me a straight answer. About what, Twilight? Things. Important things. Mysterious things. She steps back and runs a hoof over her head and sighs as if the entire universe is weighing in her horn. There's no time to explain. I gulp and gaze at her in concern. Not even time for friends? At first, she says nothing. She trots down the road, and only when she's become a shadow does she glance over her shoulder and say with an awkward smile, "Let me just get my work done. Then we'll see what comes next." I'll still stop by the library later, I call after her. Do you want me to bring food and games? Please, no food, she exclaims back, then practically growls, and no games. I'm not in the mood for surprises tonight. All right, Twilight, you can count on me. So, you should totally surprise her, I say with a grin. Spring this party you're planning on her like it's a lightning storm. A pink pony gasps from across the dessert counter of Sugar Cube Corner.
Oh, I knew it! I knew it! I knew it!
Her blue eyes sparkle with electricity. The first moment I saw her, I knew it was a pony who needed to have a surprise welcoming party throw for her. Is it true? Is she going to be in the library this very evening? Yeah, and she'll likely be there all night until the raising of the sun at your mayor's town hall. Perfect! Not all ponies are into bonfires, you know? Too many mosquitoes. Blah. This is so super duper perfect. I'll throw an indoor banquet and have all of Mr. and Mrs. Cake's finest treats lined up and ready for scarfing. Oh, Hot sauce! Mustn't forget the hot sauce! It does great with sarsaparilla, don't you think? Yeah, we all love sauce. I'm already reaching into my saddlebag. So, how much is this little shindig gonna cost me?
Nothing.
She grins wildly. Consider this on the house. And when I say on the house, I really mean on the tree house, because that's where the library's built. The pony who decided to build that must have had a thing for termites, because I swear you're pulling my tail, right? I raise an eyebrow. I'm from Canterlot, you know. If I wanted to, I could afford to hold 3 banquets and a dance party and still have room left in my saddlebag to rattle the bellhops.
Silly unicorn. Bells don't hop. They ring.
You know what? I smirk and zip my saddlebag shut. Who am I to refuse a kind offer, Miss Pine?
Pie.
Whatever. Just make sure you're there on time.
Woohoo!
She jumps and pumps her hoof in the air.
We're gonna party, and we're gonna party loud.
Hee. I giggle devilishly. Somehow, I have no doubt of that. Spike marches out of a tiny room with a lampshade covering his head. Less than a minute later, Twilight rejoins the loud and raving party in the center of the library. She has a burning frown, and it's aimed directly at me. All my hate. I fall back on my haunches and hug myself. I wink at her. Love you too, lavender lumps. Why doesn't any pony get it? She grumbles. Why can't anyone see what this coming day means? It's the summer sun celebration, Twi. I scoot over and engulf her in a deep hug. Come on! Smile! Want me to play the Smarty Pants song? The hairs on the back of Twilight's coat bunch up. No, no! She hisses and stares worriedly at all the ponies around us. You promised never ever to mention the Smarty Pants song. But it always made you smile when we were little fillies. Things have changed, Lyra. I don't have time for horsing around, figuratively and literally. There's so much at stake. Yeah? I wipe a tear free and grab a bottle of soda from a nearby table. Like what? She hangs her head and groans. In less than an hour, when dawn arrives, it will officially be the longest day of the 1000th year, and things that have been set in motion long before history can remember will come to fruition. I stifle a burp, wipe my lips, and place the beverage down. Sounds freaky. 1000th year since what? Lyra, have you ever wondered where the mare and the moon came from? We've all been taught stories about the exiled princess, Twilight. Her name was Luna. Whatever. The fact of the matter is, that's way in the past. What we don't remember has been forgotten for a reason, don't you think? I smile at her. I can see my teeth glinting in her eyes. You're getting all washed up over nothing, Twilight. If Moondancer was here, she'd say the same. Don't let a bunch of old ponies' tails keep you from enjoying your chance to live in the moment. Twilight bites her lip. Before she can respond, there's a loud shuffle of hooves. Everpony is exiting the library, joining a thick herd that surges toward the town hall for the other side of town. Princess Celestia, Twilight murmurs. I smile and nudge her with my horn. What are we waiting for? Let's go meet your mentor, shall we? Yes, I've missed her so. Twilight breathes a little easier. She isn't smiling, but I can see the color returning to her face. She trots out briskly, and I'm immediately behind her. Then I stop. I remember. Shoot, never fails. I'll gallop straight towards a far corner of the library. I'll be with you in a sec. I have to shovel my way through a mountain of confetti and pin the tail on the pony poster. I finally find it, glistening and golden as ever. I should just sew you to my tail and be done with it. I slide the lyre into my saddlebag and trot happily out of the library. Okay, where the heck is the stupid town hall? I groan. The streets are suddenly empty. All the ponies had cleared out of the library in a flash, and I am completely alone. I should have gotten a lay of the land instead of setting up the silly party. It's not like Twilight really enjoyed it anyway. Ugh, idiots! I roll my eyes and chuckle into the starry night. Just follow the noise. I do just that. In the center of town, there is a symphonic murmur of noise, giggles, voices, and cheers. I take my sweet time heading toward the place. There's something magical about being somewhere strange and unknown. I could almost write a song about it. I hum a melody to myself, already planning out the chorus, when something flickers above me. I glance up, and I see the moon. Only, it's not the moon. There's something different about it. Well, that's weird. I stop in my tracks and squint up at the familiar object. The blemish is gone. Where's the mirror in the moon? No sooner do I utter this, but 4 specks of light twinkle around the lunar sphere, as if framing it. I am filled with so much wonder, I hardly even notice my teeth chattering. What? What? I shiver and rub a forelimb over a sudden coat of goosebumps. Where did that come from? It's the middle of summer. How? My voice stops. No, my voice is being taken from me. I'm speaking, but I cannot hear myself. I cannot hear anything. Dead music. It tilts my head up, like a mother introducing an infant foal to the hush of night. I gaze into the stars. The stars part ways. The blackness in the center has wings. She is coming toward me. I have fallen to the earth long before her arrival shakes everything around me. The sound returns, and it is laced with thunder, for she is standing above it all. Ink-black coat, onyx wings, a helm of metal shoes, polished silver like the exposed bones of a diseased goddess, eyes of pale blue carved with the lifeless knife point of a crescent moon. Her breath is frigid, colder than death, and it sucks the life out of me. I can't scream, even when I try to. I'm just a discarded scrap of refuse, cluttering the ruptured ground beside my fallen lyre and tattered saddlebag. I gaze toward her, and it's like being swallowed up by a deep abyss. A sea of ethereal blue taint engulfs me. I am her first. She is my last. There are no words, only a song, something resonating from deep behind her deathly dark nostrils. It sings of nothing, for she is nothing, and nothing is her gift to me. I receive it. I receiveth it, thine reaper of warmth, steward of annihilation, until the fading whimper of time. We receiveth it, and become it. We, vanquisher of the morning light, stern guardian against the pollutants of the indignant spectrum. We art one with the timelessness, faithful sage of the eternal yesterday. Blissful oblivion we maintain until the cosmic mother wouldst return thy glory to the firmaments. We shall sing of the songless, as thou wouldst have thy precious daughter, and keepeth thy glory submerged in the world beneath worlds. Thy will is ours. Thou shalt remember bliss, and we shalt remember nothing. I flail. Bring light. Burning. A pair of forelimbs kicking at the sun, trying to push it away. 2 faces. They gaze down at me, alarmed and frightened. I feel hooves holding me to the alleyway's cobblestone.
Just relax. We're going to get you to Nurse Redheart. You're gonna be all right.
Where? A weak voice. So small, so frail. Where art we?
Huh?
Dear Celestia, she's delirious.
I wince, struggle, and whimper. Where am I?
It's okay. Just calm down.
So much noise. I'm shivering all over. Something is piercing my head, drilling my horns straight down through my skull with the force of 1,000,000 burning stars. So much. I sob and choke. Please make it stop.
What's she talking about?
I don't know. She's rambling. Help me carry her.
So loud. Make it stop. I can't hear. I'm sobbing. We're moving. There are teardrops on the ground where chains and ice should be. Everything is bright, too bright, and the noise. Some pony, stop playing. Stop playing the song. It's not supposed to be heard. We must wait for when she returneth. My vision is blurry. All is bells and voices.
Quick, I think she's going into a seizure or something.
What happened to her? She's all wet like she almost drowned or something.
You ever seen her before? I thought every pony was hiding indoors while Nightmare Moon was about.
Mother! My eyes roll back in my head. I cannot find her. I'm so alone. Mother, do not listen. I beg of you. I shout. I scream. The music's so loud, she's going to hear it. She cannot hear it. We mustn't allow it. Mother! Oh, dear heavens, she's a mess. A snow-white mare is leading me over inside someplace. What happened to her?
She,
Well, that is...
Well, where did you find this poor filly?
I don't remember. Do you, Cloud Kicker?
it was in town, I guess.
You guess, Miss Raindrops?
Or just outside the hospital. Don't be angry with us, Nurse Redheart. We're just as confused as you are.
This celebration. I swear to Celestia they should stop hoofing cider around like party ribbons. She's peering at me with several instruments, poking me, prodding me. Tell me, do you feel any pain? The world is spinning. My head. The music. Your head hurts? How about your horn, Miss, Heartstrings? Lyra Heartstrings. Will you please turn off the music? I think she has a concussion. Nurse Weaver, go fetch some water and please just stop the music. That's all I ask. We're going to make your head feel better. Just try to relax and there's a chill in the air. I shiver and clutch myself. My eyes focus, and all I see is vapor. Vapor and lights. I'm sorry. I gaze across at the empty bed. A nurse is reeling beside me. She leans against a wall and shakes her head before looking at me crookedly. You are suffering from... She winces. Blessed Hippocrates, what was I doing just now? I think, I gulp, you think I might have a concussion? You said, I'm sorry. Can I help you? Are you ill? We have a process for checking patients in, you realize. These two Pegasi just dragged me in here. I pointed to one of the two young ponies standing across the room. I was in a street somewhere, and they... I stopped to gaze at them. They are gazing back at me, twice as blank.
I'm sorry, Nurse Redheart, but we've never seen this unicorn before in our lives.
I exhale sharply, my face retching. What? If this is some sort of practical joke, Redheart grumbles, frowning at all three of us. I'm not even close to laughing. I told you. I rub my forehead and nearly whimper. My name is Lyra. Lyra Heartstrings. I was just going to fetch my lyre. I gulp and shudder. It's so terribly cold. I hear the music again. It comes and goes like crashing waves, and I'm falling apart piece by piece. I grabbed it, and I was walking under the moon, and I hold a hoof over my face. Oh, Celestia, she was right there. She was right there, and I couldn't do anything. I looked into her eyes. I looked into her eyes, and I fell. I fell so far and for so long. I gulp as I shake all over. The walls melt together to form a blur of noise and tears. Where was I? Somebody tell me, please. I am returned with silence, like a song with no cadence. Fearfully, I glance across the room. Everything comes into focus. 3 faces are staring at me, all blank. I'm sorry. You are? I stumble into the brightness. I am dizzy. I am teetering. I can't stop looking. I can't stop blinking. Ponies are dancing. Ponies are celebrating. Fireworks explode like gunshots all around me. Banners of the sun are being hoisted all across the village. I am nothing but a shadow of the spectrum, engulfed in noise, born unto confusion. Please, some pony, help! I mutter. I point back toward the hospital from which I have trotted. There's something wrong with the ponies in that place. I wince but continue speaking. Something's wrong with all of them. Their heads are messed up or something. I think there might be some kind of epidemic or I linger in place. Something's wrong. Something's horribly, horribly wrong. Hello? I murmur. The pain in my head is replaced by an all-numbing confusion as I gaze at the many celebratory faces bouncing around me. Excuse me? Ponies look at me. They blink in alarm. Then they're shoved back into the crowd. The village full of churning bodies circulates, and the faces rotate back to once again embrace me, and they have the same smile as before, innocent and unblemished. My name's Lyra Heartstrings. Please, listen. Something's wrong in the hospital. I think that... Hello? Their faces are there and gone again. Every time I see them, they look at me just as stupidly as the first time. It's like I'm being introduced to the same party over and over again. Just like Twilight, I don't like surprises. Look, this is serious. Some pony, pay attention to what I'm saying. There's something terribly wrong with... Why aren't you paying attention to me? I'm sorry. A laughing pony bounces past me. To my horror, it's one of the Pegasi who picked me up just a moment ago. And you are? I almost snarl. Lyra! I point a hoof angrily at her chest. And just what are you doing out of the hospital? Just then, a pale pony prances past me. Enjoy yourselves, everypony. Nurse Redheart cheerfully shouts above the noise of the summer sun celebration. But remember, safety first. My station's open all day. I gawk at her. I can feel my heart beating. It's so terribly cold. The adrenaline does nothing. Hey! Hey! I bark. I wave my hooves wildly. I surf through the crowd and all but collapse against a table full of cupcakes outside of Sugar Cube Corner. Panting, I grab the shoulders of the pink mare, tossing samples out to passing celebrators. I'm so glad I found you, Miss Pine.
Actually, it's Pinkie Pie. But I wouldn't mind being called Pinkie Pie once in a while.
My bad. I smile nervously and squeeze her forelimbs. Look, you gotta help me. Twilight must be paying me back for the surprise party from yesterday.
Because pine smells so good. Don't you think? It reminds me of hearthwarming Eve and opening presents. Why, this one time I was unwrapping a box covered in silver glitter and a baby alligator popped out. Swoosh! Bit me over the head. Good thing the little fella had no teeth. That's why I named him Gummy.
Please, listen to me. I all but snarl at her. I bat away a few ponies before they can grab some cupcakes and interrupt this little meeting of ours. Where's Twilight? I gotta apologize to her so she can stop this practical joke. I knew she could organize a summer sun celebration, but ho 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 ho! I chuckled madly, my lips crooked. This sort of stuff takes the cake. Cake. So, where is she?
Huh? Where's who?
Twilight Sparkle.
Why? Did she do something wrong?
Yes. No. Not really. Look, I just need to find her and apologize for the surprise party yesterday.
You were at the surprise party yesterday?
Pinkie grins wide.
'Cause that was so fun. I'm glad that I thought it up.
I do a double take. The heck are you talking about? I thought up the surprise.
And you are?
Lyra! I shout. Lyra Heartstrings! The rich unicorn whose friend you agreed to spring a party for on the house?
That's a pretty name, miss.
She smiles innocently at me.
But I'm sorry. I've never seen you before.
I stare at her blankly. My veins are filling with an iciness as cold as her blue eyes suddenly appear.
'Cause if I had, I would have totally sprung a super-duper welcoming party for you, too. I wish there were more ponies around town with green coats, 'cause green coats are so hard to come by. And, hey, where are you going?
I'm leaving. Leaving her. Leaving this town. Leaving the noise and the brightness and the madness and... I fall back in the dirt road and curl my legs to my chest. Celestia, please. It is cold. It is colder than cold. I can't trot any further. I'm on the edge of town. The sun is burning high in the sky. I feel as if my legs are made of glaciers. I shriek. Frozen needles are bursting out through every square inch of my flesh. I can barely move. I'm too scared to proceed any further in the direction I've been heading. So I crawl. Like a lame little foal, I crawl. I inch my way back toward the heart of downtown. Slowly, the frost in my veins melt away. It is still bearable, but the agony permeates everything. And the noise, and the music, and the tears. Some pony? Any pony? I whimper. I sob. I climb up and break into a desperate gallop. Help me!
What's wrong with her?
Did she have too much cider? Party animals will do as party animals do. Please! I pounce on the first pony I see in downtown. In her eyes is the reflection of a hyperventilating unicorn with a disheveled mane. I want to jump into those pools and drag her out, but she keeps shrinking away from me. You've got to help me! My name is Lyra Heartstrings. I have a family in Canterlot. I gotta get to them. I gotta get to some pony who remembers me. Hey, relax. You need help. We can find you a pony who can... The pony suddenly teeters, her eyes turning thin. There's a vapor of cold mist between us, and she's already murmuring, "Oh, phew, too much sun." She smiles weakly at me. I'm sorry, can I help you?
What is wrong with every pony?
I shove her back and angrily growl at the many equines circling me in the street.
Is something stuffed in your ears? You're all sick, I swear!
Did some ponies say that they're sick? I spin around with a hopeful breath. My heart immediately shrinks. Nurse Redheart. She squints at me from where she stands in front of the hospital. I'm sorry, have we met? Did some pony send you to meet with me? I backtrot away from her, but nearly trip over something. I tumble into a tiny bundle of purple scales. Oof! I snap out of it and gasp for joy. Spike! I lift the purple whelp with 2 forelimbs and grin madly at his face. Thank Celestia I found you. Spike, you gotta help me find Twilight. Something's horribly wrong, and maybe she can help. She's good at magic spells and stuff. Where can I find her? He stammers, struggling to hold a sun-colored candy on a stick in his grasp.
Twilight sparkles at the library with her new friends. But why would you want to speak with her?
Why else? If any pony can understand what I'm going through, it's her. I haven't seen her in, well, dozens of hours. I gulp and exclaim. Hasn't she asked where I went off to? Where I've been all this time? Spike's green eye slits bounce all around the scene. He bites his lip and nervously squeezes forth.
Ma'am, until today, Twilight's only had one real friend, and she's off doing studies in Canterlot.
I let forth a shuddering breath. Moon dancer, I whimper like a kitten. But what about me? What about Lyra?
I've been with Twilight literally all of my life,
Spike says with a nervous smile. He avoids my gaze. I can feel a twitch of fear surging through his scale body.
She's never mentioned no Lyra.
I gaze blankly at him. He drops to the floor with a grunt. I'm looking around. Nurse Redheart is off talking to another pony. It's as if this scene hasn't even happened. The mare I grabbed earlier is gone. No single pony is looking at me. I feel my heart racing a mile per minute. The blood rushing to my head is almost drowning out the music. Almost. Well, maybe you're just... I turn to look. Spike has waddled off, completely ignoring me. He's already several yards away, gawking and clapping at a magic act along with several colts and fillies. Delirious, I finish. I start to hyperventilate. Every time I close my eyes, I see something beyond the darkness, a place where songs go to die. I feel as if I'm heading there too. The gravity tugs at me, so I defy it by breaking my hooves into a frenzied gallop.
What's wrong with her?
Did she have too much cider? Party animals will do as party animals do. Please! I pounce on the first pony I see in downtown. In her eyes is the reflection of a hyperventilating unicorn with a disheveled mane. I want to jump into those pools and drag her out, but she keeps shrinking away from me. You've got to help me! My name is Lyra Heartstrings. I have a family in Canterlot. I gotta get to them. I gotta get to some pony who remembers me. Hey, relax. You need help. We can find you a pony who can... The pony suddenly teeters, her eyes turning thin. There's a vapor of cold mist between us, and she's already murmuring, "Ah, phew, too much sun." She smiles weakly at me. I'm sorry, can I help you? What is wrong with every pony? I shove her back and angrily growl at the many equines circling me in the street. Is something stuffed in your ears? You're all sick, I swear! Did some ponies say that they're sick? I spin around with a hopeful breath. My heart immediately shrinks. Nurse Redheart. She squints at me from where she stands in front of the hospital. I'm sorry, have we met? Did some pony send you to meet with me? I backtrot away from her, but nearly trip over something. I tumble into a tiny bundle of purple scales. Oof! I snap out of it and gasp for joy. Spike! I lift the purple whelp with 2 forelimbs and grin madly at his face. Thank Celestia I found you. Spike, you gotta help me find Twilight. Something's horribly wrong, and maybe she can help. She's good at magic spells and stuff. Where can I find her? He stammers, struggling to hold a sun-colored candy on a stick in his grasp.
Twilight sparkles at the library with her new friends. But why would you want to speak with her?
Why else? If any pony can understand what I'm going through, it's her. I haven't seen her in, well, dozens of hours. I gulp and exclaim. Hasn't she asked where I went off to? Where I've been all this time? Spike's green eye slits bounce all around the scene. He bites his lip and nervously squeezes forth.
Ma'am, until today, Twilight's only had one real friend, and she's off doing studies in Canterlot.
I let forth a shuddering breath. Moon dancer, I whimper like a kitten. But what about me? What about Lyra?
I've been with Twilight literally all of my life,
Spike says with a nervous smile. He avoids my gaze. I can feel a twitch of fear surging through his scaled body.
She's never mentioned no Lyra.
I gaze blankly at him. He drops to the floor with a grunt. I'm looking around. Nurse Redheart is off talking to another pony. It's as if this scene hasn't even happened. The mare I grabbed earlier is gone. No single pony is looking at me. I feel my heart racing a mile per minute. The blood rushing to my head is almost drowning out the music. Almost. Well, maybe you're just... I turn to look. Spike has waddled off, completely ignoring me. He's already several yards away, gawking and clapping at a magic act along with several colts and fillies. Delirious, I finish. I start to hyperventilate. Every time I close my eyes, I see something beyond the darkness, a place where songs go to die. I feel as if I'm heading there too. The gravity tugs at me, so I defy it by breaking my hooves into a frenzied gallop. I practically fling myself against the wooden door of the library. I pound on it. I scrape against it. I can't stop panting. I feel like I must outrace something, but I don't know what. Finally, the top half of the door opens. An obstinate-looking mare with an orange coat and white freckles is glaring at me. Can we help you? Reckon y'all know this here's a library, right? Where's Twilight? I lunge toward her. The mare jumps back with a start, her hat nearly falling off. Where is she? I have to speak with her. It's urgent. Missy, have you looked at yourself in the mirror lately? Your tan bushes are messy in a 10-pound sack. I think some pony should lay off the cider. Can't believe I'm hearing myself say that. Applejack! A voice murmurs from the deep recesses of the treehouse. My heart instantly leaps. Who is it? Yeah, some mind-blowing unicorn, Twilight. I think she's done a tad bit too much celebrating. A blue Pegasus floats by the foyer.
Ha! There's no such thing as too much celebrating.
Oh, will you two cut it out? Twilight Sparkle giggles as she trots into view. This is gonna be my new house. Let me take care of this. You sure, Sugar Cube? I don't think she's rotten the head. Elements of magic, remember? I think I'll be more than okay. She brushes the farm filly aside and smiles at me. Now, what seems to be the problem? Twilight! I grasp her hooves, almost yanking her over the bottom half of the door. Something is twinkling in her eyes, until I realize it's the reflection of my own joyful tears. Thanks, Celestia! I've been looking all over for you. You were right. Something crazy is going on. Thousands a year or not, you were onto something. I can't but explain what's happening to me, but it's something like I'm not here. But I am here. Every pony's ignoring me. And not just them. Spike, too. At first, I thought it was a joke, but now I think it's something else. Please, you've got to help me. If you can't, then maybe the princess can. I think it's some sort of degenerative brain disorder or some crud. I remember reading up on it once in a copy of Canterlot Health Monthly. If we get all the ponies checked, then maybe we can, I don't know, figure out what's going on and get them all cured. They owe it to you after all the preparation you did for the celebration, after all, and I'd be more than willing to help. Help. The warmth left my voice, like a song interrupted. I gulped a painful lump down my throat and searched for answers in the blank canvas staring back at me. Twilight? You sound like you've been through a lot, she says. Her voice is placid, like pond water that not a single pebble has been able to disturb. I stand upon the brink, looking in, but I can no longer see myself. But you have to start over from the top. Calm down and speak slowly. I'll do anything I can, Miss, It's too cold for me to melt. The only thing that cracks is my voice. Lyra! Something has died, and I suddenly realize I can't bury it. I'm Lyra! You're Lyra! Your friend! Twilight! Why don't... I stumble backward from the library. I'm a limb cut off from the tree, forever a lost element. I try to speak, but all that comes out are breathy palpitations. I see her in the doorway, and yet she's squatting on a sidewalk of Canterlot, 2 blocks from my house, having tripped over after trying to read a book in mid-trot. I shuffle up toward her, the first unicorn my age that I've seen since we moved from another district, and I pretend to ignore her tears as I pick up the book for her. We talk about things. She likes magic. I like music. Someday soon, we both meet another unicorn who likes playing pretend. And thus begins an unwritten chronicle of adventures just outside our homes. Our homes. Mom. Dad. Something else has died, and I wish it was me. Please, let's just talk. Wait! She reaches out for me, but I'm gone. Listen to me! Look at me! Please! Some pony! Any pony! There's a mad unicorn running through the streets of some backwater town. I hate her. I don't want to be around her. She follows me like a tune that will never leave my mind. I want to rip it out. I want to rip her out. I want to rip her asunder. Please, I'm begging you! Pay attention to me! I am surrounded by laughter. I am surrounded by dancing. Everywhere I turn, the chorus gets louder and louder. I can't even shut it off with violence or flame. My name is Lyra! For the love of Celestia, please, listen to me. I am real! There are eyes, and then there are no eyes. The only thing constant is light, and soon that is swallowed by an all-encompassing darkness. I am real! I woke up, accompanied by my own yells. A wall of trees resonated with my voice, echoing my agony beneath the stars of the night. I flailed, soaking wet, rolling over leaves and grass and pitch blackness, until the moon found me. Even then, I couldn't stop making noise. 1 million invisible forgotten creatures screaming in the night, and I was one with them. When I paused for breath, I realized that I wasn't where I last was. This wasn't my cellar. The lantern light was gone. The solid stones had disappeared. I was in the middle of the forest, surrounded by the bright, looming bodies of trees. And the threnody of night, it had been replaced. Oh, Celestia! I gripped my skull and gnashed my teeth, plowing my muzzle through the damp earth. I was crawling over with moisture, but it wasn't my sweat. What was this mess? What hidden ocean had I emerged from? And this tune, this new and infernal tune. Oh, dear Celestia, no! I whimpered. Not another elegy. Not an eighth. I stumbled up to my hooves, only to slip immediately into a huge puddle. My body screamed. I was freezing again. This was 10 times worse than ever free. And what's more, I was naked. My limbs were the tendrils of a numb ghost. I floundered for a hoof-hold. By the time I entered a swift trot, I couldn't tell which way I was going. All I saw was endless trees, all shining in the pale moonlight like bright femurs planted in the ground, just as sterile and lifeless. It was with miraculous luck that I stumbled onto a dirt path, and from there I knew where to go. As I stumbled along, a trail of moisture dribbled off my coat and stained the ground behind me. What was all this? Where had I been? I found the cabin and immediately flung myself through the door. It took 3 petrifying minutes to summon enough nerves in my limbs to start a fire. When I did, I didn't bother with subtlety. I flung 10 whole stakes of lumber onto the blaze and planted myself before it, drowning myself in a sea of blankets. There, upon the hearth, I quivered through the agonizing night. There was no way I could sleep, no way I could rest. The tremble shook my body so hard I feared that my spine would rattle out through my skin. I prayed for the daylight to come. I was tired of this darkness. I was tired of this waiting and waiting, of fighting my way through nameless songs in a futile attempt to find a purpose to my solitary pestilence. When the gray haze of morning wafted in through the window, I took a look at myself. There was still a sheen of moisture. It had no color, no odor, and, to my daring taste, no flavor. I could only guess that I had been soaked in none other than pure water. But why? What had happened in the middle of the instrumental? Why had I been relocated to the middle of the woods? Was this the purpose of the threnody? Was this what all my work had promised me? What was unraveling the Symphony of Princess Luna had in store? It wasn't until noon that I dared to go outside. I trotted forlornly into the cellar beneath my shack, as if afraid of the evidence I was going to find. I discovered nothing. No hoof footprints, no scrape marks, no signature at all to suggest what may have dragged me out into the darkest folds of the night. I found my lyre where I left it, my soundstones no longer enchanted. And of all things, I found my hoodie, lying perfectly dry and deflated on the floor, where my body had collapsed halfway through performing the latest instrumental. At least, it was the latest instrumental. Now my head was full of something else, something terribly, damnably new. It filled me with more fear than the prelude to shadows. It chilled me to the bone far more mercilessly than the moon's elegy. I already absorbed enough into my memory to compose the first 10 chords if I wanted, but I couldn't allow myself to do that.
But if you're all about trying to discover these mysterious tunes, what's stopping you from composing a new one?
Maybe because I'm sick of going on a wild goose chase, only to be awarded with fainting spells, freezing blood, and migraines, I snarled, slapping the dusty books down on the library table and fumbling to yank my notepad out from my saddlebag. Maybe because after 13 goddess-forsaken months, I can't help but ask if it's worth it. It's not like I'm making any progress. It's not like I'm... Ugh! With an angry shriek, I tossed the notepad against the wall and slammed my hooves into the nearby bookcase with a loud punctuation. It just feels so pointless. Why do I even bother trying? Why do I even bother... I stopped in mid-sentence, for I realized I was not the only one trembling. I glanced to my side. Spike glared back at me, nervously toying with the end of his tail. Upon receiving my glare, the library assistant gazed away, as if guilty for not relating to this infernal unicorn's frustration. My heart sank. I remembered the day Twilight Sparkle first showed him to me, a young hatchling fresh out of the egg, a gift for the princess's new apprentice as much as he was a gift to the very notion of life. I again saw a tiny little whelp who once dangled, confused and frightened, from my forelimbs in the middle of the summer sun celebration. Existence is too precious a thing to have attacked something so sovereign, not once, but on 2 separate occasions. I immediately deflated, calming myself with a deep breath and smiling as genuinely as I could the youngster's way. I'm sorry. You don't deserve to hear me go on like that. You're only trying to help me. It's just that I'm so frustrated and my head hurts and... I shuddered. My eyes closed on their own. Once again, the darkness was so familiar, the bitter black birthplace of black songs. They had shaped me for the better, now that I think about it. They had chipped away the sour edges of the unicorn I used to be. If I had the ability to reverse time, I don't know if I'd want to anymore. I'm not nearly as proud of the filly I once was. I'm constantly endeavoring to discover the mare I someday wish to be, so that what emerges from this amnesiac prison is something worth being proud of, something worth being remembered. But on the fringes of that darkness, I see the same unicorn shivering by herself before the ashes of a dying flame. And I wonder, in over a year of trial and error, have the things I've gained outweighed the things I've lost, or would forever lose? Just like the words slipping unguarded from my trembling lips. I'm just so alone, I murmured. I couldn't help it. I didn't want to help it. I'm just so alone, and it's so hard. It gets so very hard trying to do this research. Even with all the help in the world, I'm on my own. This is my symphony, alone to discover, and I have no pony else to turn to. Though it's as if opportunity is knocking everywhere I look, I'm not sure if you know what it's like to be so cold and yet surrounded by so much warmth. It's trying sometimes, and I apologize. I apologize for snapping. You're young and you're loved and you're blessed to have a home. You don't need to hear any of this. I sighed, bowing toward the books, the holy relics of forbidding languages that I was forced once again to peruse. Then Spike's words melted through the veil, startling me.
Actually, ma'am, forgive me for saying so, but I kind of sort of do understand.
I glanced curiously toward him. I was silent. He looked like he wanted to be as well, but could afford it even less than I.
I know that I'm loved. I know that I have a home, but that doesn't change what I am.
He smiled bashfully. It was a forced thing, and he wrung his fingers over the edge of his tail, as if struggling to produce the words.
I'm a dragon. A purple magic whelp. Even Celestia herself has told me that I'm the only known one of my kind. I'm really thankful that Twilight Sparkle and so many other ponies look after me, and I know that they care for me a lot, but I can never make them understand what it means to be what I am. I'm not sure if I can ever learn anything that there is for me to know about myself, or about dragonkind for that matter. But that's not going to stop me from trying to find out. Maybe not now, but perhaps when I'm older. I'm going to give it all that I've got. And though I know that Twilight would gladly try to help me, I really don't think she can, you know?
He sniffled slightly, but his ensuing grin was braver than anything I could ever muster.
Sometimes, though, I think it's okay to be alone. If we needed other ponies to discover ourselves, then, well, we just wouldn't be ourselves now, would we?
I smiled painfully his way. I stretched my forelimb out and rested it on his purple shoulder. Spike, I have no doubt that you will find yourself. And if what you discover is anything nearly as genuine and sweet as what's standing before me right now, well, I wouldn't be surprised. Something was bridged between us. I was thankful for it, because whatever tears had almost begun welling up in his eyes were very swiftly dried.
Twilight always tells me I should be true to myself. I used to think it was a bunch of sappy hoopla, but I think it was her way of telling me that there comes a time when we can only help ourselves. It may be kind of scary to face challenges in life alone, but, well, things would be boring otherwise, don't you think?
He giggled at his own attempt at a moral. I was confused at first, until a part of me, the portion that was 13 months older than the other half, very easily understood this child's statement. Yes, I murmured delicately, smoothing back his spines and giving him an affectionate smile. Yes, it would be very boring indeed.
So,
He cleared his throat and attempted to reattach the conversation to the dusty tomes wrestling in front of the moody unicorn.
Ancient Moonwinnie. Think you need any help with the translation? I've got an antique lexicon somewhere on the other side of the library.
I knew what would happen as soon as he walked away. No, I mean, if you'd like, just hang out here for a little bit longer, I said quietly. I took a deep breath. I fidgeted with my hoodie sleeves while my eyes searched a distant cold place, dense and secret. Some of us are alone by choice. Others...
There was a knock on the treehouse door.
Come, come and enter, stranger or friend, for I have brews for all ills contained within.
With a deep wooden creak, I entered the zebra's household. I immediately lowered both hoods from over my horn and spoke bravely into the freezing air. "Are you Miss Sakura?"
Yes, yes,
she murmured, while perusing several scrolls mailed in from her homeland.
in the household of Ponyville my name goes about. My medicinal remedies you've heard of, no doubt.
Well, I wouldn't know a thing or two about that, but some pony sent me to give you something.
Oh?
Yeah, these things were found lying in the middle of downtown, and no pony around these parts has ever been known to own them. We figured they belonged to, well, the only resident mirror who wears her mane in a mohawk, if you catch my drift.
I'm afraid you have to be more clear.
Zecora rolled her scrolls up and gave me a suspicious glance from across the wooden atrium.
Just what curious things do you bring here?
I nonchalantly unwrapped a canvas bundle and held a pair of drums up for her inspection. Do these mean anything to you? I bore a poker face and waited. For a moment I could have sworn the stripes in Zecora's coat had paled over. Her mouth fell agape and she shuffled slowly toward the items in my possession. A murmur escaped her, undoubtedly a flimsy thread of her native tongue. Finally she swallowed and exclaimed,
Sun-dried snares, vestiges of a zebra heart and soul. By the shadows I've not seen the likes of these since I was a little foal.
I squinted knowingly at her. So I was right. They do have zebra written all over them.
In a manner of speaking, yes,
she stammered, holding a hoof up to her chest.
Of their value to my kind I do not jest.
Something melted across her face. A sweet smile, forged by a dozen memories, all flashing across her blue eyes as she stared at the drums and passed them all at once.
My siblings would play the drums for me when I was but a child. Just thinking about it now makes my spirit feel young and wild.
Yeah, nostalgia'll do that.
But their presence here truly baffles me,
she stated with a confused expression.
To think that a pony could stumble upon them so casually.
I glanced towards the far end of her workstation. A wooden engraving lingered before my eyes, like a warm sunset too far away for either of us to taste in that cold domain. In truth, I had made the drums, just like I had built all of the tools, both conventional and unorthodox, which were presently hanging from the walls of my cabin. Sometimes half of being alone means struggling to find the purpose in being alone. Standing there, nearly freezing to death in the presence of such a secluded zebra, I had discovered something far more sacred than a forgotten song. Well, stranger things have happened, I flippantly mused. Whatever the case, no pony in town wants them. Seems only fitting for them to be yours. Zecora bit her lip in sudden pensiveness. What's wrong? I pretended to ask. Oh, right. The ponies in town say that you're a shaman. Let me guess. Your order forbids you to play music or something. She fidgeted slightly, though she couldn't tear her blue eyes away from the wondrous instruments of her use.
I must solemnly admit my dismay, for I have been committed to work and not to play. Why else would I be working in a faraway land, if not to seek the mysteries of the world so that I may understand?
Miss Zecora, I shudder to think that a seeker of knowledge forgets to also be a seeker of the self. She said nothing to that, just sadly hung her head. However, I was smiling. Well, if you're not allowed to play something so dear to you... I shuffled over to a wooden stool and plopped myself down. Miraculously, the shivers had stopped, so that I embraced that precious moment with a pair of hoofs hovering deliciously over the twin snares. Is there any harm in letting someone else give it a shot, so that you can at least enjoy listening to it again? She gawked at me as if I was on fire.
You mean to tell me that it's true? That the art of the zebra horror and percussion is housed within you?
It must be if I can make you force your own rhyme that blatantly to believe it. I winked at her and motioned towards another stool. Have a seat. No good song is ever meant to be listened to alone. Even a shaman can afford company once in a while, right?
She smiled, and the moisture in her eyes was like that of an enchanted young filly's. Ch4 squatted across from me, her face eager and bright, just as I began my rendition of a ritualistic chant that I had researched long ago, accompanied by a drum beat that I had mastered with enough time, patience, and solitude. The two of us converged, lonely souls in the middle of an alien cold, to indulge in the beauty of something that was lost to both of us. And though we may not have made any progress, we reminded ourselves, ever so briefly, of just what progress is meant to serve. Someday, I will cure this curse of mine. Maybe it will take picking up the pieces of the Threnody of Night. Maybe it will take piecing together the bits of this new song in my head. Maybe it will involve tackling the elegy after that, or 10 more elegies, or 1,000. Suddenly, it no longer matters how long the road ahead of me is. I have friends in waiting on either side of me, and though they don't know my name, I see and hear my spirit reflected off them, off their warmth and sincerity. The thought of their eyes looking at me, and one day not losing sight of the thing that holds my soul, that is a goal I shall pursue with joy. For what other impetus is there to pierce the freezing depths of this universe? In this life, I am guaranteed to have at least one friend. So long as I'm true to myself, then I can be true to everyone. There was a knock on the treehouse door.
Come, come and enter, stranger or friend, for I have brews for all ills contained within.
With a deep wooden creak, I entered the zebra's household. I immediately lowered both hoods from over my horn and spoke bravely into the freezing air. "Are you Miss Ch4?"
Yes, yes,
she murmured, while perusing several scrolls mailed in from her homeland.
in the household of Ponyville my name goes about. My medicinal remedies you've heard of, no doubt.
Well, I wouldn't know a thing or two about that, but some pony sent me to give you something.
Oh?
Yeah, these things were found lying in the middle of downtown, and no pony around these parts has ever been known to own them. We figured they belonged to, well, the only resident mirror who wears her mane in a mohawk, if you catch my drift.
I'm afraid you have to be more clear.
Ch4 rolled her scrolls up and gave me a suspicious glance from across the wooden atrium.
Just what curious things do you bring here?
I nonchalantly unwrapped a canvas bundle and held a pair of drums up for her inspection. Do these mean anything to you? I bore a poker face and waited. For a moment I could have sworn the stripes in Ch4's coat had paled over. Her mouth fell agape and she shuffled slowly toward the items in my possession. A murmur escaped her, undoubtedly a flimsy thread of her native tongue. Finally she swallowed and exclaimed,
Sun-dried snares, vestiges of a zebra heart and soul. By the shadows I've not seen the likes of these since I was a little foal.
I squinted knowingly at her. So I was right. They do have zebra written all over them.
In a manner of speaking, yes,
she stammered, holding a hoof up to her chest.
Of their value to my kind I do not jest.
Something melted across her face. A sweet smile, forged by a dozen memories, all flashing across her blue eyes as she stared at the drums and passed them all at once.
My siblings would play the drums for me when I was but a child. Just thinking about it now makes my spirit feel young and wild.
Yeah, nostalgia'll do that.
But their presence here truly baffles me,
she stated with a confused expression.
To think that a pony could stumble upon them so casually.
I glanced towards the far end of her workstation. A wooden engraving lingered before my eyes, like a warm sunset too far away for either of us to taste in that cold domain. In truth, I had made the drums, just like I had built all of the tools, both conventional and unorthodox, which were presently hanging from the walls of my cabin. Sometimes half of being alone means struggling to find the purpose in being alone. Standing there, nearly freezing to death in the presence of such a secluded zebra, I had discovered something far more sacred than a forgotten song. Well, stranger things have happened, I flippantly mused. Whatever the case, no pony in town wants them. Seems only fitting for them to be yours. Zecora bit her lip in sudden pensiveness. "What's wrong?" I pretended to ask. "Oh, right. The ponies in town say that you're a shaman. Let me guess. Your order forbids you to play music or something." She fidgeted slightly, though she couldn't tear her blue eyes away from the wondrous instruments of her use.
"I must solemnly admit my dismay, for I have been committed to work and not to play. Why else would I be working in a faraway land, if not to seek the mysteries of the world so that I may understand?"
"Miss Zecora, I shudder to think that a seeker of knowledge forgets to also be a seeker of the self." She said nothing to that, just sadly hung her head. However, I was smiling. "Well, if you're not allowed to play something so dear to you..." I shuffled over to a wooden stool and plopped myself down. Miraculously, the shivers had stopped, so that I embraced that precious moment with a pair of hoofs hovering deliciously over the twin snares. "Is there any harm in letting someone else give it a shot, so that you can at least enjoy listening to it again?" She gawked at me as if I was on fire.
"You mean to tell me that it's true? That the art of the zebra horn percussion is housed within you?"
It must be if I can make you force your own rhyme that blatantly to believe it." I winked at her and motioned towards another stool. "Have a seat. No good song is ever meant to be listened to alone. Even a shaman can afford company once in a while, right?" She smiled, and the moisture in her eyes was like that of an enchanted young filly's. Zecora squatted across from me, her face eager and bright, just as I began my rendition of a ritualistic chant that I had researched long ago, accompanied by a drum beat that I had mastered with enough time, patience, and solitude. The two of us converged, lonely souls in the middle of an alien cold, to indulge in the beauty of something that was lost to both of us. And though we may not have made any progress, we reminded ourselves, ever so briefly, of just what progress is meant to serve. Someday, I will cure this curse of mine. Maybe it will take picking up the pieces of the Threnody of Night. Maybe it will take piecing together the bits of this new song in my head. Maybe it will involve tackling the elegy after that, or 10 more elegies, or 1,000. Suddenly, it no longer matters how long the road ahead of me is. I have friends in waiting on either side of me, and though they don't know my name, I see and hear my spirit reflected off them, off their warmth and sincerity. The thought of their eyes looking at me, and one day not losing sight of the thing that holds my soul, that is a goal I shall pursue with joy. For what other impetus is there to pierce the freezing depths of this universe? In this life, I am guaranteed to have at least one friend. So long as I'm true to myself, then I can be true to everyone.
This is the place in my heart. This is the place where I'm falling apart. Isn't this just where we met? And is this the last chance that I'll ever get? I wish I was lonely instead of just only crystal and see-through and not enough to you. 'Cause you don't see me, and
That was Chapter 4 of Background Pony, Symphony of Solitude. It was written by Short Skirts and Explosions and read by Scribbler. Next time on Ponytails, Chapter 5, Industry. Right, I don't know about you lot for listening to it, but after reading all that and acting all that, I am knackered. Absolutely cream-crackered. I don't have much to say about this because I am very, very tired from having read all that. It was 21,808 words according to FiM, and that's not even the longest chapter within this. I am probably going to start splitting apart chapters when they start broaching the 40 and 36,000 word mark. They're probably going to come in chunks, those. So we'll have some chapters are going to be split into 2 parts. Not so much this one, if I can help it. I hope everybody comes back to listen next time. I don't really have much else to say. Very much thank you for listening. I hope people continue to listen. Hopefully this time I've got all the sound glitches worked out of it. In my defense of getting stuff wrong,
I've learned Audacity by trial and error, and I only started using it in January. So, hopefully it's not too bad for less than 2 months worth of practice. So, thank you very much for listening. I hope you come back next time. I hope you listen to the other one-shots that I've been reading as well. And I hope some of you, out of pure curiosity, go to check out the stuff I've written myself, my own fan fiction. That's actually where I started out. I've been writing fan fiction for 14 years now. So I hope somebody goes and just, out of curiosity, checks out what I can produce as well as what I can produce. Oh God, I'm so tired. I'm going to bed now. Thank you very much. Be lovely to each other, and good night, everybody.